There's a specific kind of quiet shame that comes with earning decent money and still feeling broke. Not can't afford groceries broke, more like where did it all go broke. The kind where payday comes, you feel a brief moment of relief, and then 3 days later you're back to checking your balance before every purchase. Back to that low-level financial anxiety that never really goes away. And the thing is, you're not reckless, you're not irresponsible. You probably know how to budget. You've downloaded the apps, you've made the spreadsheets, you've had the conversations with yourself at 11 p.m. about how this month is going to be different. But somehow, it never quite is. If that sounds familiar, I want you to stay with me, because this isn't a video about budgeting tips or cutting your subscriptions. You've heard all of that. What I actually want to talk about is something deeper, the reason the money keeps disappearing even when there's more of it coming in. And understanding this one thing changed the way I think about wealth entirely. Here's the first thing behavioral finance keeps showing us over and over again. Income alone does not create wealth. This sounds obvious when you say it out loud, but the way most of us actually live, the way we plan, the way we spend, the way we feel about money, is built entirely on the assumption that more income equals more financial stability. We tell ourselves, I just need to earn a little more and then I'll be fine. And so we wait. We wait for the raise, the promotion, the side hustle that takes off. And sometimes those things happen. The income goes up, and for a moment it really does feel like things are changing. But then, almost without noticing, the lifestyle adjusts. The apartment gets a little nicer, the dinners get a little more frequent, the purchases feel a little more justified because, well, you're earning more now, you deserve it. Morgan Housel, in The Psychology of Money, calls this the wealth trap nobody talks about. He points out that wealth isn't what you earn, it's what you don't spend. And the painful irony is that every time our income rises, most of us find a way to spend right up to its edge, sometimes past it. Researchers who study household financial behavior call this lifestyle creep. And it doesn't happen because people are bad with money. It happens because humans are deeply social creatures. We calibrate our sense of normal to the people around us, and as we earn more, we tend to drift toward people who spend more, which shifts our baseline, which shifts what feels reasonable to buy, wear, drive, eat, or live in. Think about someone you might know, maybe it's even you, who got a significant pay raise and genuinely felt like they'd turned a corner financially. And yet, 12 months later, they're somehow still stretched thin. Not because they wasted the money, but because every category of their life quietly expanded to absorb it. The gentle shift here isn't to stop enjoying your income, it's to notice the gap between what comes in and what goes out. That gap is actually the only thing that creates financial breathing room. And protecting that gap, even a small one, is more powerful than any investment strategy. The second thing worth sitting with is something money psychology calls the invisible weight of status spending. We don't talk about this enough, but a significant portion of what people spend money on isn't really about the thing itself. It's about how the thing makes them feel seen, respected, like they've arrived somewhere. And this isn't vanity, this is deeply human. We're wired to seek belonging and status within our communities. For most of human history, the way you signaled that you were safe, stable, and successful was through visible markers. And in modern life, those markers are mostly financial. The car, the neighborhood, the restaurant, the bag, the vacation that gets posted, the kitchen renovation. none of these things are inherently wrong, but when they're being funded not by genuine wealth, but by a paycheck that's already spoken for, they create a very specific kind of financial trap. You're spending real money to perform a version of financial security you haven't actually built yet. Morgan Housel writes about what he calls the man in the car paradox. When someone sees a beautiful, expensive car on the road, they almost never think about the person driving it. They think about how they would feel driving it. Nobody is as impressed by your stuff as you imagine they are. People are too busy thinking about their own stuff. And yet we keep buying for the audience. We keep stretching the budget to maintain an image of financial wellness, while the actual financial foundation stays fragile. The real shift here is quiet. It's asking, before a purchase, am I buying this for my life or for the way my life looks? Not every time, but sometimes, just enough to start seeing the difference. Third, and this one is a little harder to hear, a lot of being broke on a good income is rooted in what financial researchers call psychological scarcity, a mindset that gets wired in early, often in childhood, and follows people through decades of adult life, regardless of what's in their bank account. If you grew up in a home where money was tight, where the conversations about bills were anxious, where there was always a sense of, we can't afford that, your nervous system learned something. It learned that money is scarce, that it disappears, that you have to spend it before it's gone, because it's always about to be gone. And the complicated thing about that wiring is that it doesn't update automatically just because your circumstances change. The income goes up, but the money behavior stays the same. Spending quickly, not saving because saving feels pointless or unreal. Struggling to imagine a financially stable future because that future never felt possible. A lot of people who grew up watching their parents stress about money carry that stress into adulthood. They might earn 3 times what their parents ever did and still feel the same low-level financial anxiety, still feel like they're one unexpected expense away from everything falling apart, because in their nervous system, they are. That's still the story running.
The psychology of money touches on this when it talks about how our personal history with money shapes our financial decisions more than any logic or strategy ever could. 2 people can look at the same financial situation and respond completely differently, not because one is smarter, but because they're each filtering it through a completely different emotional history. Recognizing this isn't about blame or digging through your childhood at a therapy session. It's just about noticing when your financial behavior feels more like a reflex than a choice. Because once you can see it, you have a little more room to choose differently. Fourth, behavioral finance consistently shows that one of the quietest reasons people stay financially stuck, even with growing incomes, is the absence of what researchers call a financial identity. Most people have a relationship with money that's entirely reactive. Money comes in, obligations absorb it, whatever's left gets spent on things that feel good in the moment. There's no clear sense of, this is what I'm building. This is the kind of financial life I'm trying to create. This is what enough looks like for me. And without that clarity, every financial decision gets made in a vacuum. Every purchase feels like a one-off. Every month starts fresh, without any thread connecting it to a longer story. Housel talks about the importance of defining what enough means to you personally, because the world will keep offering you more things to want, more car, more house, more status, more comfort. And without your own anchor, you'll keep chasing that horizon and wondering why you never feel financially settled. This is one of the most practical and underrated pieces of money wisdom I've come across. Not a budget, not a savings rate, just a clear, personal answer to, what am I actually working toward? What would financial peace look like for me? Not for the person next to me, not for who I want to appear to be, but for my actual life. That question alone, sat with honestly, can change the entire shape of your relationship with money. Fifth, and maybe the most counterintuitive one, research on wealth behavior consistently finds that saving money has almost nothing to do with willpower and almost everything to do with friction. The people who save consistently aren't necessarily more disciplined, they've just made saving the path of least resistance. The money moves automatically before they can see it, touch it, or mentally spend it. It's gone before it enters the available category in their brain. This matters because most people trying to save what's left over, which means they're trying to save after all the decisions have already been made, after the rent, the groceries, the impulse purchases, the dinners out, the things that seemed reasonable in the moment, and by then there's nothing left. The small but significant shift is to treat your savings like a fixed expense, before the month starts, before the decisions are made. Not a huge amount necessarily, especially not at first, just something consistent, something automatic, because the size of the contribution matters far less, especially early on, than the habit of making it. The Psychology of Money talks beautifully about this, about how the goal isn't to optimize perfectly, it's to keep going, to stay in the game long enough for time to do the heavy lifting. So here's what I want to leave you with. If you earn a decent income and you still feel financially stuck, you're not failing. You're experiencing something that's incredibly common and almost never talked about honestly. The gap between income and wealth is real, and it's not filled by earning more. It's filled by understanding the behavior, the emotion, the identity, and the invisible patterns that shape how money moves through your life. The Psychology of Money is not a set of tips. It's an invitation to look honestly at who you've been financially and to gently decide who you want to become. Not from a place of shame or frustration, from a place of curiosity. You don't have to earn a fortune to build financial peace. You just have to start closing the gap between what you make and what you unconsciously let disappear. You have to start noticing when you're spending for status and when you're spending for your life. You have to get honest about the old money stories that are still running in the background. And you have to give yourself credit for the fact that you're here, watching this, thinking about these things. That already puts you ahead of where most people are willing to go with their own money story. Financial freedom isn't a number, it's a feeling. It's waking up and not dreading your bank account. It's making a decision about money and feeling like it came from you, not from anxiety, not from comparison, not from a reflex you've never examined. That's the thing worth building toward, and you can start, quietly, today. If this resonated with you, I'd really appreciate you subscribing. There are no hacks here, no shortcuts, just honest, grounded conversations about money and the way we think about it. And I think if you stay a while, you'll find something genuinely useful for the financial life you're trying to build.